it's going to bounce back to its original shape, right? So what I want you to do is I want you to bring out your sponge, deep breath in. And when you release, do a surprise breath. Because when you do that, it goes right to here. And I feel like they get that. But let's do it one more time. Deep breath in. And bring out your sponge. And release. I just love that one. I learned that one from Rhonda Fleming, any of you that went to ECU. Okay, so from there, I will do a siren to transfer, to use to access their singing voice opposed to their speaking voice. So I usually do the first beat, I take the first beat, throw it over the speaker, it's going to be on. Good. So because I can't go anywhere near as high as they can, that's why I ask for so many individuals. And that way they can hear where it should be. That also teaches you it's so much assessment for you because you can hear who can't switch their head voice. You can hear who might have some vocal damage, who's been yelling too much on the playground. There's so many things. Take a softball and you throw it over his forward on woo! Woo! You can the ambulance, wheel, wheel. Some people do a beanbag and they'll throw it and they have to make their voice go as high as the beanbag goes. And you can do that with them, like throwing the beanbag to them, and then they can throw it to somebody else, and everybody has to make their voice mimic the height of it. Okay, so resonance. Everybody take a B and put it inside your mouth, and barking, and you're gonna follow the video on butt. Just watch my hands. Good. And I always do humming because humming puts it right in the front, right here, and from the voice perspective, you know, we all that took voice lessons know about the mask when you're singing. So always have them touch your cheeks here and feel the buzz here and then sing in a phrase. So it would be good. So and I always listen to them and I'll give them feedback in between, but I don't stop it. It might be non-visual, like you need more space or put the sound forward or things like that. Ping pong is another good one for resonance because you're going to the NG. Ping pong, ping pong, ping 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 pong. And how many repetitions I do? It just depends. Probably at least 5 or 6. But after 3, they're on autopilot unless you are doing something to remind them. Like that's why I always use kinesthetic with it. And from there, I would go into intonation. So I might use, I would probably go from the humming to you probably saw that one yesterday. And then I might go, hallelujah. So I'll bless your ah and sing in praise. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. We did yesterday. And I'm sure you can see when I ask for volunteers, they all want to do it. Now, and y'all are lucky because you teach elementary school. When you get to middle school, 6th grade, they all want to do it. 7th grade, 50%. 8th grade, 2 people. That's it. And you're lucky if it's 2. But I love this, and I love what you can do with vowels because you know, being from the South, we love to go me. So that's why I have them do that. I go sing me, and now I make them listen to me go me. So they hear the difference when it's narrow and tall and when it's wide. So everybody do the wide one. Beautiful, beautiful. Diction. Mama made me mash my M&M's. Mama made me mash my M&M's. I might alternate it with Papa, Papa, picked up pots of peas, ready, and
Papa, Papa, picked up pots of peas.
And wait, I might do Chester cheetah, chocolate cheddar cheese.
Chester cheetah, chocolate cheese, cheddar cheese.
There's lots of different ones you can do for diction as well. You saw me do this one yesterday. This is brain extension. I have this theme or this idea about space. We all need space, but if we have too much space, it gets really goofy. Like, and overachievers, if you say put space in there, overachievers will do that. So I say what I want you to do is have a little space on and right here when you hit the high note, that's when you need the space. And that's just a reminder for them. I also like that it includes articulation with staccato and legato at the same time. You probably know this one. Everybody know this? This is goes
Oh,
1, 2,
okay.
3.
Chocolate cookie, chocolate yum.
Oreo, chocolate Oreo. I love the creamy filling of the chocolate Oreo. Hey.
And I'll sure do chocolate cookie, yum, yum, yum. Chocolate cookie, yum, yum, yum.
Oreo,
A chocolate Oreo. I love the creamy, in sign languages, okay? I love the creamy filling of a, I learned mine different this. I love the creamy filling of a chocolate Oreo. Yeah, so just little movements that you can add to it. Kinesthetic movement in rehearsal. Everyone should have some type of movement. Takes the focus away from the voice and gives direction to the exercise, like to a natural state of singing. Are y'all all kind of see? Back to the basics. This is not rocket science. Okay, with kids, I think if you have the right shape, you probably have the right sound. So it's really about dropping your jaw, making your lips round, perfect circle for the ooh, all of those things. And this is a really important one. So I always do body, breath, resonance, intonation. We're gonna have a connector, something that's gonna connect to the first piece, or some transition. It could be the like yesterday, I think I hummed or sang each piece before we did it to make them think about what it was and find it. At the end of your one sequence, create a connector that will transition to the next song. This can be an exercise, solfege patterns, musical reading, excerpt. When moving from song to song, find a way to transition that keeps the students focused. Sing or hum a melody from the piece. If you introduce the piece before using solfege, you could sing a line on solfege syllables. You could even sign the line and have them sing it in their head and see if they can figure it out. Clap the rhythm of the piece, sing, sign the chord with hand signs. So there's lots of ways that you can be creative about your transitions. Okay, I love solfege. I got this from Teachers Pay Teachers. This is just a chart that you can use. Here's another chart that you could use. Y'all ever go to Teachers Pay Teachers? Yeah. I have this one in my room, just so they can see the hand signs. I usually put this one up. I don't use this one, but I just want them to know there is a sign for even accidentals, you know, just to be aware of it, even though with them, I'm probably only going to use these. I might, if there's, because sometimes I'll have a D flat or an F sharp, which would be Fi or Te, and I might introduce those, but I'm probably not going to do any more than that. The missing note, write a major scale on the board, use the magnetic, so I have the magnetic circles that are like this, and I just put them on the board, and so I'll put them in order in a row, like this, and then I'll take one out. So we're going to sing it here. So sing this one first. 1, 2, ready, and...
Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do.
Beautiful. This time you're going to sign me and thank me, but not sing it. 1, 2, ready.
Do, re, fa, sol, la, ti, do.
Good. So they have to sing it in their head, because if they don't, you'll hear people in the cracks. So I'll say to them, when you sing me, you're going to sing it in your head. Just don't sing it out loud, but you have to sing it. 1, 2, ready, and...
Do, re, fa, sol, la, ti, do.
Here we go. 1, 2, ready, and...
Do, re, fa, la, ti, do.
Here we go. Ready, and...
Do, re, fa, la, do.
Oh, y'all are good. Solfege form, so chord building. Oh, this is something I will do. You'll probably see this today. So everybody sing what you see.
Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do.
All of you stay there. Stay there. Y'all stay there. Y'all stay there. Everybody change to blue. Anybody should know. Good. So they can sing chords. Probably, I don't know about this one. They could probably do like a triad and hold it, but because they have an anchor to hold on to. Otherwise, it's hard for them to figure out the chord. And then I have them change to a vowel sound, and then I have them follow my hands so they're watching the conducting. If you have a choir at your school and they come to a concert and they've never seen you conduct until the concert, it's a problem. Because then they don't know what you're doing. And to be honest, you haven't practiced probably with them and in front of them, so they don't know what they're watching. And your hands can do so much, whether it's singing in a phrase, whether it's crescendo, whether it's decrescendo, whether it's singing softly, whether it's singing loudly. You know, there's so much that you can do and show them. Cutoffs, all of those things, really important. And you have the power over all that. The solfege is connected. This is when, let's see about this. Okay, this is one of their songs. See if you can figure this out. This is do. But if we had sang it a few times, they would be able to figure that out. Let's say they don't know solfege and you want to teach solfege to them, this is a really great way. And I'm gonna do this with body solfege. Body solfege is more physical, and I feel like I use this with like younger kids. Like by the time they're in third grade, I'm probably gonna move to the hand signs. But like kindergarten, first and second, I use body solfege because they don't feel the difference between do and mi. But do and mi here they do. So everybody stand up. Do, here we go. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, ti, la, sol, fa, mi, re, do. Right, now I feel like they physically can do it, and I'll do lots of things with them, even in kindergarten. And first grade, y'all sit down, I gotta tell y'all a story. I was doing, Lake June West had a summer music conference, and they had asked me, I had done the middle school choir for them one year, and they had asked me to do the grade 1-2 choir. So I was like, well, I do it in church, sure. I'll love working with them. I had them for 3 hours. Grade 1 and 2. And that first day, I was like pulling my hair out. And then I said, okay, you are the teacher, what do you need to do differently? Well, we all know that, well, maybe y'all aren't aware of this, but according to how old they are is how many minutes you should spend on activity. So if they're 6 years old, you probably need to move after 6 minutes. 7, 8. If they're 9 or 10, you can probably go 9 or 10 minutes. So I planned those 3 hours in 7-minute increments. And the next day, it was great. So it worked, but it was more planning than I've ever done in my life. So this one goes, you can just sit down and do this, but do, re, do, re, mi, re, do, re, mi, fa, mi, re, do, re, mi, fa, sol, fa, mi, re, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, sol, fa, mi, re, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, la, sol, fa, mi, re, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, la, sol, fa, mi, re, do. I would do it with them way slower, but it's a really good way for them to learn it pretty quickly. You also have, let's say you wanted to introduce harmony. Y'all are going to be the quarter notes. Y'all are going to be the non-half notes. And this is going to be do, re. Quarter notes are going to go do, re, mi, fa. So y'all know who you are, here we are. Use your hands, 1, 2, 3, ready, and go. Who's doing the quarters? This half.
Okay,
Do,
good.
re, mi, fa. Here we go. Ready, and go. Do, re, mi, fa, mi, fa, sol, fa, sol, ti, la, ti, do. And then you can come back down if you want to, but this is a good way for them to hear harmony and be able to hold their part. And So if you have a new piece, so you have to pick your battles, right? And with this song, they're not going to be able to read these rhythms probably, because there's lots, it's syncopated and everything else. So what I would do when I was teaching this the first time is I would say, I'm going to sing this on lu or do, and I'm going to stop on a certain word, and you have to tell me what word I stop on. They would have the music, and they would, with their finger, be following along. Okay, and you always have to say to them, do not look at me, look at your music, because you can only figure out what the word is. So now I would sing. Fierce, and then be able to tell me fierce. I'm gonna start right here. Bother. It. And they really can, they do it actually pretty well. But that way they're hearing it and they're getting it in their head instead of you just singing it to them and then singing it back. Repetition. The class may need to hear a song 4 to 6 times before they can accurately sing it. So keep them actively involved in the listening process by adding a new task to each repetition. So just remember 4 to 6 times before they can do it accurately. So the game is one way, then you have lots of other ways that you can reinforce that. A Hope Carol. So this is major and minor, and I'm not going to be able to, well, we can sing through it today, but I am not going to be able to, I have always used this YouTube video of a Hope Carol that I found online, and it's not there anymore. And I found that out today. But what I would have you do is hold up, I have signs that say major and minor, so big M, little m, and I have signs that say unison and canon, because it does those two things. And I give everybody both cards, and then they have to listen and decide whether it's a major or minor, and they have to decide whether it's in unison or whether it's in a canon. Guided listening is a great thing. Just listening is not a great thing because their brains are going to go everywhere else. But if you give them a task to do while they're listening, they're always good with that. Okay, now if you can take out the booklet I gave you, so it should be in a PDF.
It's in your email.
And you can use a laptop if you want to, or an iPad. Or your phone. I could never do it with my phone because my eyes, I'm too old for that.